Hey guys, what's up, back to the video. I just got to watch The Menu, which comes out this weekend in theaters. So in this video, I'll be giving you guys my spoiler-free review. The Menu follows a couple that travels to a coastal island to eat in an exclusive restaurant filled with other famous celebrities and food critics. The head chef has prepared a lavish menu that includes some shocking surprises. And before I get into all of my spoiler-free thoughts on The Menu, if you guys are new here and you enjoy all my movie and TV show reviews, reactions, and breakdowns, make sure to subscribe and notifications on so you don't miss any time I upload a video or I go live. But don't waste more time, let's get into it. The thing that carries this movie through and through is the performances and just the cast as a whole, because though I think the themes, the ideas, cinematography, all these other things are really great in this movie, I think the performances and the cast as a whole, they really drive the nail through this entire movie, and they really keep a steady pace going through. The notable performances and cast members in this movie are Ralph Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Nicholas Hoult, and they all play their characters perfectly. Anya Taylor-Joy is phenomenal as always. She was also in The Northman, which came out earlier this year, and Amsterdam, which I think her performances in The Northman were absolutely phenomenal. Amsterdam, she was all right, but I do think The Menu is her best performance of this year so far. She's absolutely phenomenal here again. And then obviously Ralph Fiennes, he's a staple actor. He is absolutely phenomenal. He's one of my favorite actors ever. And I think this movie, he puts on such a great showcase because he's the one that really drives the theme throughout this entire movie. And the way that his character is the head chef and really opens up all of the mystery of this movie, it's all portrayed super well. And then finally, Nicholas Hoult, he is absolutely perfect. He is so funny. He's one of the funniest movie characters of 2022 in my opinion. He's the main foodie, food critic, the person that's obsessed with Ralph Fiennes' character as the head chef. And so there is just a lot of things to like about this character, and it's mostly just making fun of him when you're laughing at him, but all of that comedy is intentional. And again, I really like his character. I think his character also brings some diversity to this group in this crowd in terms of the cast, in terms of just thematically, because all these other characters throughout the course of the movie, their opinions and their thoughts, they do change. But Nicholas Hoult's character, he kind of stays the same, but in a really cool and funny way, in a way that's not just like ignorant, in a way that's not just bothersome to the crowd. I think his character and the way that they play him out throughout the runtime of this movie with all of the other reveals and the whole mystery aspect of this movie, I think it's all very great. Speaking of the reveals throughout this movie, I think another phenomenal piece of this film is the pacing. You jump right into it from the get-go. There's really no big setup in terms of just setting up the place around you. They do a really great job of just getting you in there. You get introduced to a lot of your main characters, and I think they do a really cool job of spreading everyone out, making everyone seem like, okay, this is this, and it's very like mysterious in terms of what their characters really are, but at the same time, a lot of the characters are fairly one-note, which could be viewed as a fault of the movie, but I think if they went a little bit deeper into the characters, you would have taken away from the other mystery aspects in terms of just the menu overall, this theme and this course that you're going through throughout this film. I feel like you would take away from a lot of that if you got too deep into the individual characteristics of every single cast member. I also really like that this movie is paced through dishes. It's not just 3 dishes though, but every single dish, there's a little cutaway and it kind of sets everything up again, and every dish has a nice little story behind it, and you really get to understand these characters, their reactions to these dishes, and all these small little pieces start to come together with the dishes piling on top of one another as the course goes on. You really do build on the story itself, and I think that's a very cool and very interesting technique in terms of just pacing this entire movie. And I do want to say I was very intrigued in this movie. I watched 1 or 2 reviews for the movie. I saw like the first trailer for it, and so I was very intrigued in the idea, but I still had a lot of ambiguity around just the themes and how this was going to be a thriller/horror movie. And I'm going to tell you guys, I needed to pee the entire runtime of this movie, but I did not even think of getting up a single time because this movie just had me hooked. Even in slower moments when you're exploring the thematic implications on even just individual characters, I think they do a really great job of keeping it all intriguing and moving this story really quickly. It's only an hour and 45 minutes, this film, and so I think they do a really cool job of always just keeping us in the loop of what's happening. Even if you're kind of cutting away, there's at least 2 or 3 points in this movie where you have 2 simultaneous stories going on at one time, because other than that, it's just in one location. But when you have those 2 simultaneous stories going on at once, and you have those single location shots and those scenes, they all feel the same in terms of tension. They don't let anything ever get too slow, but they don't have it obnoxiously fast. I think the pacing itself allowed the themes and the ideas to unfold at a really great pace, and it didn't just give us too much in the beginning. It didn't just give us too much of an exposition dump at the end. I think they did a good job of moving it throughout this entire movie. And I will say, a lot of people have been complaining that it's a very slow start and you don't really get into the actual deeper themes and deeper meanings of it until the beginning of the 3rd act. And I do agree. I definitely think you don't get into into like the bigger thematic ideas until the very end of the movie, but I kind of like that build up. I kind of like the way that we're kind of introduced and we kind of think that our head chef is just messed up in the head, which to a certain extent he is, and I don't want to say too much because again, I don't want to spoil anything, but as we keep moving throughout the movie, you kind of start to understand these character choices and where everyone is coming from. Not necessarily that they're right, but the fact that they're still kind of valid in their own reasons. Like I said before, the themes aren't really laid out for you right from the beginning, but I do think that the way they reveal it throughout this movie is really, really cool. And I'm not going to say the specific theme because I don't want to get too deep into it, because I thought that in itself was a really cool twist. People might not view that as a big twist for the story, but I think it was a really cool character reveal that we had. So I'm not going to talk about that specifically too much, but the general theme that we all know going into this movie is kind of like the to hell with the rich theme. And I definitely think the eat the rich theme is very much a secondary theme in this movie because of that reveal that we have in the beginning of the third act. And I really like the way that they plan the eat the rich theme to actually elevate it towards, I mean, obviously this is a still thematic movie on talking about the rich, but this twist is a little bit above just like eating the rich. I think there's a really cool theme here regarding critics and just reception to your own craft. Again, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I really, really like how it's not just eat the rich. I think it's a really cool idea that they have something just a little bit above that as well. And finally, I want to talk about the cinematography. I've mentioned it here and there throughout this video, but I really like the way that they crafted this movie and the way that they make actually this one location set feel. It's not necessarily one location, but it's one island. You have different parts of the island that you travel to. And then also just the way that the cinematography works and the pacing. Like I said before, you cut away from the kitchen a decent amount of times to just literally like the outside world to actually cut through different dishes. And you also have very much like close-ups or dishes like you'd see in like cooking shows and stuff like that. I think they do a really good job of implementing this creative cinematography into the pacing itself of the movie. And it doesn't necessarily do anything on a higher level for themes and anything like that. But again, I think pacing-wise, this movie does a really great job with cinematography, and just overall, it captures the essence of the movie really well. It makes it feel like a more rich movie, the way that they shoot this movie and the way that everything is just planted onto the screen in the right places, and also the way that they keep mystery with the cinematography. They show a lot of things, or they might not show a lot of things, and they'll show it just a little bit later, and the way that they reveal it with the cinematography is very unique in my opinion, and I really, really like the way that they executed it here. At the end of the day, I really, really like The Menu. I think the performances are absolutely phenomenal. It's very fast-paced, but in just the right way. I absolutely love the themes, and though it's a classic eat the rich theme, there's definitely other layers to it that I think a lot of people will enjoy. At the end of the day, I'm going to give The Menu a solid 8.5 out of 10. If you've seen or want to check out The Menu, let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.